The reading and writing synthesis. The reading and writing synthesis is divided by the big five of reading instruction, the interactive read alouds, and the writing process. For the big five of reading instruction, I added that this is the most fundamental, or these are the most fundamental points teachers need to know to understand and teach reading in the elementary grades, or anybody who is at early uh, literacy stage. The big five components are phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. Phonemic awareness is when the student is being able to manipulate phonemes, or the smallest units of sounds. So here is what the student actually needs to understand, that even though a letter has different amount of letters, the phoneme is actually the sound of that word, and not the sounds of each letter. For example, if the word is sheep, then the reader needs to understand that that word only has three phonemes. Phonics is the actual mapping speech onto print. Here is where the student needs to understand the alphabetic sounds and connect those sounds to the graphemes, to the actual letter. So if the student sees, let's say, the first letter of the alphabet, that student needs to understand that the sound of that letter is A. Fluency is the rate at which the student reads, and it is measured in words per minute. As students read more frequently, they gain more confidence, and the reading becomes more automatic, so they can actually start building things such as expression, pausing, things like that. So when the fluency is gained, then also this helps the comprehension to enhance, right? The vocabulary is when the student is gaining a higher understanding of receptive or productive vocabulary. So to develop the vocabulary, teachers have many techniques, such as things that I've seen are like when they use the semantics. So they actually connect the new words with previous words that the kids have already learned, or they learn how to separate those words into prefixes and suffixes and things like that. And they actually start creating word walls that help students develop that receptive vocabulary when they're reading. So receptive is when the kids are able to understand words when they're actually reading, and the productive vocabulary is when they are actually using more words when they're speaking. The comprehension is the main goal of the reading, and it is the understanding of what is read, what the student is reading, and involves all the previous terms I just mentioned. The interactive read aloud, consists of share reading and guided reading. And pretty much what it does is that it promotes the joy of reading, it promotes fluency, and all these things that I just mentioned. This is pretty much the foundation of a community that shares literary understanding through thinking, through talking, through thinking aloud, things like that. So within the interactive aloud, as I said before, is included the share reading, which is where the students are reading together as a whole class, and the guided reading, which is a small groups with small groups. Then finally, we have the writing process. So the writing process is when the student starts developing that writing. So let's say when they are actually writing a paper, for example, they need to understand that there are different processes. There are different parts of the writing for them to organize the piece and finally publish it, right? So, for example, the writing process begins by the drafting. So the drafting is actually when the student is brainstorming ideas, um, is starting to, add details to that piece. It has main ideas. It's starting to write, the topic sentence. What is the person going to talk about? What are the details? Things like that. So then the editing and the revising and the editing comes. And this is the part where the student is actually organizing his ideas. And then when the student is finally organizing, the run-ons and misspell words and capitalizing or things like that. So finally, when everything, when this draft is being edited, then the student can actually publish it. So I think this is all for the synthesis. And the biggest idea here is that everything goes linked together. To be able to be a good writer, we have to be a good reader, so we can learn from good authors what a good writer should be about. Thank you so much.